I am Elodie Carter, and my story begins in a sterile courtroom, its air heavy with the weight of finality. Polished oak table between me and James Carter, my husband of 12 years, felt like a chasm wide and unbridgeable. Once he was my everything, my confidant, my partner, the father of our 2 children, Ethan and Lily. But as I sat there, staring at him across that divide, he was a stranger. His sharp jawline, once softened by late-night laughter, now framed a smug grin that twisted my stomach into knots. The man I'd loved was gone, replaced by someone who seemed to revel in my unraveling. 12 years of marriage, 2 beautiful children, and a life I'd poured my soul into, reduced to this bitter, jagged end. James leaned back in his chair, his tailored suit pristine, exuding an air of victory. Behind him stood Scarlett, the young, radiant woman who'd stolen him away. Her confident smile and effortless charm radiated triumph, as if she'd won a prize I could never compete for. I glanced at James's hands, folded casually on the table, and remembered how they used to cradle Ethan as a newborn, how they'd braided Lily's hair for school. Now those hands seemed indifferent, as if our children were no longer his blood, his legacy. The betrayal cut deeper than his infidelity, deeper than the countless humiliations I'd swallowed to keep our family intact, a family I realized now only I had ever truly fought for. Courtroom was suffocating, its fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows. My lawyer, Claire Thompson, whispered, "Elodie, you okay?" Her voice was a lifeline, but I could only manage a tight nod, my throat burning with unshed tears. I couldn't afford to break here, not in front of James, not with Scarlett's predatory gaze fixed on me. Across the room, James's lawyer murmured something, and he smirked, a flicker of amusement crossing his face. Did he even think of Ethan, who idolized him, or Lily, who still asked why Daddy was gone so often? Apparently not. Child support? He'd pay the bare minimum, just enough to keep the court off his back, while Scarlett's lavish desires loomed large in his new life. I pictured Lily's worn ballet shoes, unreplaced, while Scarlett's apartment filled with trinkets James would happily provide. The judge's gavel struck, a sharp crack that echoed through my bones. "The court grants the divorce as stipulated," she intoned, her voice clinical. "Custody of the minor children, Ethan and Lily, is awarded to Ms. Elodie Carter, with Mr. James Carter to provide child support as outlined." The words washed over me like a distant tide, belonging to someone else's life. I stared at the table's grain, tracing its swirls, unwilling to meet James's gaze. But then he spoke, his voice slicing through the murmurs. "Your Honor, one more thing." My skin prickled as Scarlett leaned in, her glossy lips curving into a faint, encouraging smile. "I'd like to request the return of certain gifts I gave Elodie during our marriage. Expensive ones." The room stilled and my heart pounded. The emerald necklace, the diamond earrings, the silver bracelet, tokens of love now reduced to line items in his ledger. And worse, he demanded the children's gifts too, Ethan's telescope, Lily's music box. It wasn't just petty, it was a deliberate jab, a final twist of the knife to strip me bare. I felt the weight of Scarlett's smirk, the courtroom's eyes, and the crushing realization that James wanted to erase our past entirely. Yet, beneath the humiliation, a spark of defiance flickered. I wouldn't let them see me crumble. If you're listening right now, tell me, which country are you tuning in from? Drop it in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do it now. These aren't just everyday family stories, they're real, emotional journeys packed with deep life lessons you can actually apply to your own life. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a story that might change the way you see things. The act of packing up James's gifts was a torment that gnawed at my soul, each item a shard of a life I'd thought was ours forever. I moved through our house like a ghost, my hands trembling as I wrapped the emerald necklace, the diamond earrings, the silver bracelet, tokens of a love that had long since turned to ash. The crystal vase, the designer handbags, all meticulously folded into tissue paper, felt like relics of a stranger's life. But the real agony came when I turned to the children's things. Ethan's telescope, a Christmas gift from James when he was 10, stood by his window, its metal gleaming faintly in the afternoon light. Lily's music box, with its carved roses and delicate melody, sat on her bedside table, a nightly ritual that lulled her to sleep. These weren't just objects, they were fragments of my children's hearts, and James wanted them back, as if he could erase his fatherhood with a court order. I worked in silence, the house eerily still while Ethan and Lily were at school. The solitude was a mercy. I couldn't bear for them to see me dismantling their memories. But fate wasn't so kind. That afternoon, the front door creaked open and Ethan's voice called out, "Mom, you home?" Before I could answer, he appeared in the living room, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his 15-year-old frame filling the doorway. His eyes landed on the cardboard boxes, then narrowed as they fixed on the telescope, half disassembled on the coffee table. "What's this?" he asked, his voice sharp with suspicion. I froze, my hands clutching bubble wrap, searching for words to soften the blow. "Ethan, sweetheart," I started, but he cut me off, striding forward to inspect the boxes. His gaze darted to the music box, nestled beside a stack of his astronomy books, and realization hit him like a punch. "Mom, why is Dad's stuff in boxes?" His voice trembled, a mix of confusion and dread. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "Your father, he asked for some things back. Gifts he gave us." Ethan's face darkened, his jaw clenching in a way that made him look far older than his years. "The telescope," he demanded, his voice rising. "The one he said we'd use to see Jupiter this summer? He's taking it back?" I nodded, unable to meet his eyes, my heart splintering. "And why?" he shouted, his voice cracking. Before I could respond, he grabbed the model ship James had given him for his 12th birthday, a painstakingly assembled gift they'd worked on together. With a cry of rage, he hurled it against the wall. The wood shattered, fragments scattering across the floor like my own broken hopes. I rushed to him, pulling him into my arms despite his resistance. "Ethan, I'm so sorry," I whispered, my voice shaking as I held his trembling frame. His tears soaked my shoulder, and I felt the weight of my failure as a mother, unable to shield him from this betrayal. "I didn't want this," I said, my words muffled against his hair. "I tried to protect you." But the truth was, I hadn't protected him, not from James's cruelty, not from this moment. Ethan pulled away, his eyes red and furious. "He doesn't care about us, does he?" he spat. "He's got her now and we're just nothing." I wanted to deny it, to tell him his father still loved him, but the lie stuck in my throat. Instead, I cupped his face and said, "You are everything to me. You and Lily. We don't need him to be whole." That night, after Ethan retreated to his room, I slipped into Lily's bedroom to gather her music box. Pastel walls and fairy lights felt like a sanctuary I was violating. As I lifted the box, its melody tinkled softly, a sound that had soothed Lily's nightmares for years. My vision blurred with tears, but I froze when I saw a folded piece of paper tucked beneath her pillow. My hand shook as I opened it, revealing Lily's childish scrawl, the ink smudged with tears. "Dear Dad, you don't want me anymore, so I don't want your stupid music box. I hate you." The words were a dagger to my heart. My sweet, gentle Lily, only 8, pouring her pain onto paper she'd never send. I sank onto her bed, clutching the letter, my chest heaving with silent sobs. Had I failed her too? Had I let James's selfishness shatter her trust in the world? The guilt was suffocating, but beneath it, a fierce resolve stirred. I had to be strong for them, to show them that love, the real kind, didn't demand or destroy. I returned to the living room, my hands steadier now, and continued packing. Alongside the jewelry and gadgets, I added relics of our past. Photos of us laughing at the seaside, Ethan's crayon drawings of tanks, Lily's sketches of flowers with "I love Dad" scrawled in the margins. I included receipts, hundreds of them, for Ethan's science camp, Lily's ballet classes, their winter coats, their books. Each one was a testament to the life I'd built for them, the love I'd poured into their world while James chased Scarlett's fleeting allure. Finally, I sat at the kitchen table, a single sheet of paper before me. My pen moved with deliberate calm as I wrote, "I'm returning everything you asked for, James. The jewelry, the telescope, the music box, all the material things. But the love, care, and support you never gave us? Those are mine, Ethan's, and Lily's. You can't take them away." Sealing the boxes, I felt a strange clarity. This wasn't surrender, it was severance. I was cutting James out of our lives, not because I was weak, but because I was done letting his betrayal define us. My heart ached for Ethan's anger, for Lily's letter, for the family we'd lost, but I knew this was the first step toward freedom. The boxes sat in the living room like silent sentinels, a testament to a life unraveled. But as I looked at them, I saw something else. The beginning of a new story, one where I'd fight for my children and myself, no matter how much it hurt. Weeks after I sent those boxes to James, I found myself at a charity gala, a glittering affair to support Lily's dance program. I wore a simple navy dress, my hair swept back, hoping to blend into the crowd of donors and parents. The room buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses, the air thick with perfume and ambition. I was there for Lily to secure her spot in a summer dance intensive, but my heart was still raw from the courtroom, from Ethan's shattered ship, from Lily's tear-stained letter. I forced a smile, nodding at acquaintances, trying to focus on the future. Then, through the sea of faces, I saw her, Scarlett. She glided into the room like a queen, her red gown clinging to her curves, her auburn hair cascading in perfect waves. And there, glinting at her throat, was the emerald necklace James had given me after Ethan's birth, a symbol of a love I'd once believed was unbreakable. My breath caught, a surge of anger and betrayal flooding my veins. Scarlett's eyes locked onto mine, and a slow, deliberate smile curled her lips. She sauntered toward me, her heels clicking on the marble floor, the necklace catching the chandelier's light in a cascade of green fire. Crowd parted, sensing the tension, their chatter fading into a hushed curiosity. "Elodie," she purred, her voice dripping with mock sweetness as she stopped before me. She touched the necklace, her manicured fingers lingering on the stones. "Thank you for this lovely gift. Suits me so much better, don't you think? James says I make it shine brighter than it ever did on you." Her words were a blade designed to cut deep, to humiliate me in front of everyone. I could feel the eyes of strangers, their whispers like needles pricking my skin. For a moment, I was back in that courtroom, James's smirk and Scarlett's triumph stripping me bare. The anger roared in my chest, hot and unrelenting, but I refused to let it consume me. I took a deep breath, steadying myself, and met her gaze with a calm I didn't know I possessed. "Scarlett," I said, my voice low but sharp, cutting through the silence. "You can wear that necklace, but you'll never wear the dignity or love it once stood for. Those are things you'll never understand." The words landed like a slap, and Scarlett's smirk faltered, her eyes widening in surprise. A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd, some stifled laughter, some gasps. A woman nearby whispered, "Well said," and Scarlett's cheeks flushed, her confidence crumbling under the weight of my resolve. She opened her mouth to retort, but no words came. Instead, she stepped back, her fingers twitching at the necklace as if it suddenly burned her. I turned away, my head held high, and walked back to my table, my heart pounding with a strange mix of triumph and pain. In that moment, I reclaimed a piece of myself, a spark of strength I thought James and Scarlett had stolen. But the victory was fleeting. The weeks that followed were a descent into darkness. The divorce had carved a wound in me that refused to heal. I couldn't sleep, the memory of Scarlett's taunt, Ethan's shattered ship, and Lily's letter replaying in my mind like a cruel loop. Simple tasks, cooking breakfast, driving the kids to school, felt insurmountable. I'd catch myself staring at the kitchen wall, my hands idle, while Ethan and Lily tiptoed around me, sensing my fragility. The guilt was crushing. I was their mother, their rock, and yet I was crumbling. One morning, after another sleepless night, I broke. I called my lawyer, Claire, my voice trembling as I admitted I couldn't cope. She arranged for me to check into a psychiatric hospital for a week of intensive care. Leaving Ethan and Lily with my sister was agonizing, another failure etched into my heart. But I knew I couldn't be the mother they needed if I didn't save myself first. The hospital was a blur of quiet rooms, therapy sessions, and medication adjustments. First, I barely spoke, the words trapped behind a wall of grief. But a kind therapist, with her gentle questions and steady presence, helped me unravel the knots of pain, anger, and self-blame. Slowly, I began to see a path forward, not free of hurt, but navigable. When I returned home, I was fragile but determined. I threw myself into painting, a passion I'd shelved during my marriage to James. Each brushstroke was a release, a way to pour my pain onto canvas. I found solace in small moments, Lily's laughter during a silly movie, Ethan's rare, open conversations about his science projects. These were glimmers of light in the fog, proof that we could heal together. Meanwhile, James and Scarlett's world was imploding. My friend Sarah, ever the bearer of gossip, told me Scarlett had become domineering, her spending spiraling out of control while she neglected their newborn son. James, opening the boxes I'd sent, found more than he'd bargained for. Alongside the jewelry and gadgets were photos of our family laughing by the sea, Ethan's drawings proclaiming Dad is the best, and receipts, hundreds of them, for Ethan's camp fees, Lily's dance classes, their clothes, their books. They totaled thousands, dwarfing the value of the trinkets he'd demanded. My letter, tucked inside, was a quiet dagger. I'm returning everything you asked for, James. But the love, care, and support you never gave us? Those are ours. You can't take them away. Sarah said James sat in his garage for hours, staring at those relics, the weight of his choices crashing down. He'd traded a real family for Scarlett's hollow allure, and the truth was breaking him. But to me, his regret was irrelevant. I was done seeking his validation. My focus was Ethan, Lily, and the life we were rebuilding, one brushstroke, one laugh, one day at a time. Time slipped by, each day a quiet step toward healing. The wounds James and Scarlett had left still ached, but I found solace in painting. My tiny studio, tucked in a corner of our house, became my sanctuary. The smell of oil paint, the soft scratch of brushes against canvas, it was as if I were stitching my heart back together, stroke by stroke. Ethan and Lily would peek in, Lily twirling in her ballet slippers, Ethan sketching nearby, their presence grounding me. My paintings were raw, vibrant, spilling with the colors of my pain and hope. One piece, Reclamation, stood out, a bold swirl of blues, golds, and fiery reds inspired by my journey through betrayal to resilience. I poured every ounce of my struggle into it. The courtroom sting, Ethan's shattered ship, Lily's tear-stained letter, Scarlett's cruel taunt at the gala. When I stepped back from the canvas, I saw not just a painting, but my survival. One spring morning, as I arranged canvases at the local gallery where I worked part-time, a woman approached me. Margaret Grayson, a curator from a prestigious art institute, had sharp eyes and a warm smile. "Your work is powerful, Elodie," she said, gesturing to Reclamation on display. "It's raw honest. I'm curating a national exhibition next month, and I want to feature 3 of your pieces, with Reclamation as the centerpiece." My breath caught. A national exhibition? Thousands would see my work, my story. She went further, nominating me for a grant program for emerging artists, a stipend, mentorship, a solo show. "Your resilience is in every brushstroke," Margaret said. "People need to see it." Tears prickled my eyes, but I laughed, a sound of pure joy. "I'd be honored," I stammered, my heart racing. It was a dream I'd never dared voice, a validation of the passion I'd buried during my marriage to James. I threw myself into preparing for the exhibition, selecting my best pieces, painting new ones late into the night. Ethan and Lily were my cheerleaders, Lily declaring I'd be famous, Ethan grinning. "Don't forget us when you're a big shot." Their pride fueled me, but James's shadow lingered. One evening, my phone buzzed with his name. His voice was soft, almost broken. "Elodie, I'm sorry for everything, the divorce, the gifts, how I treated you and the kids. Can we meet to talk?" My heart stuttered, a flicker of the old love stirring, but doubt held me firm. I called Rachel, my best friend, and spilled everything. She met me at our favorite cafe, her eyes blazing as she set her mug down with a thud. "Elodie, don't you dare," she said. "James betrayed you, humiliated you, and hurt Ethan and Lily. He's not sorry because he's changed. He's sorry because his life with Scarlett fell apart. He doesn't deserve a second of your time." Her words cut through my confusion, grounding me. "You're right," I said, my voice steady. I texted James. "I appreciate your apology, but I'm not interested in meeting. I've moved on. Please don't contact me again." Sending it felt like closing a heavy door, one I'd never reopen. The night of the exhibition arrived, a whirlwind of lights and voices. The gallery glowed, my paintings vibrant under the spotlights. I moved through the crowd in a simple black dress, accepting compliments with a gracious smile, though my heart raced with disbelief. Ethan and Lily beamed beside me, Ethan snapping photos, Lily whispering, "Mom, you're a star." Rachel hovered nearby, toasting me with a proud grin. As I spoke with a critic, my eyes caught a figure across the room standing before reclamation. James. He looked older, his face lined with weariness, his suit slightly rumpled. He stood alone, hands in his pockets, staring at the painting as if it held answers he couldn't find. My stomach tightened, not with longing but with surprise. I hadn't invited him. How did he know? I excused myself and approached, my steps measured, my expression neutral. "James," I said, my voice calm. "What are you doing here?" He turned, startled, his eyes red-rimmed. "Sarah mentioned the exhibition," he said softly. "I had to see it, Elodie. Your work, it's incredible." His voice cracked, and for a moment I saw the man from the photos in that box, vulnerable and human. "I found the box you sent," he continued, his gaze dropping. "The photos, Ethan's drawings, Lily's notes, your letter. Broke me. I've been trying to make things right, reaching out to the kids, starting therapy, trying to be a better father to my son. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm proud of you. You're everything I wasn't." His words stirred something in me, not love, not anymore, but a faint echo of the life we'd shared. Yet I felt no need for his pride. I'd fought for this moment without him. "This is my life, James," I said, my voice steady, unwavering. "I built it without you. Ethan and Lily, they're my world now. If you want to make things right, that's up to them, not me." He nodded, pain flickering across his face, but he didn't argue. "I understand," he said. I hope they'll let me try one day." "That's their choice," I replied, not unkindly. "Good luck, James." I turned away, rejoining Ethan and Lily, who hadn't noticed him. Their laughter wrapped around me, warm and real, drowning out his shadow. As I hugged my children, the weight of James's words faded. The exhibition buzzed around us, my paintings telling a story of survival. Margaret pulled me aside, handing me a letter confirming the grant and a check for the first stipend. "You're going places, Elodie," she said. I looked at Ethan's grin, Lily's twirl, Rachel's proud nod. James's regret was a ripple, not a wave. I was free, truly free, and my future was bright, painted in colors only I could create. Months after the exhibition, my life settled into a rhythm of quiet fulfillment. The scars from James's betrayal and Scarlett's cruelty hadn't vanished, but they no longer defined me. My home, once shadowed by the pain of divorce, now hummed with laughter and creativity. Ethan, thriving in his final year of high school, won awards for his science projects, his quiet resilience a mirror of my own. Lily's dance recitals lit up our small town, her twirls filling me with pride. My paintings, once a private refuge, were gaining notice, with reclamation selling to a collector for a sum that left me breathless. The grant from Margaret Grayson funded a solo show, and I was already sketching new canvases, each one a testament to the life I'd reclaimed. I hosted friends like Rachel for wine-soaked evenings, our laughter echoing through the house. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, built on my terms, with Ethan and Lily at its heart. One crisp spring morning, as I sipped coffee at the kitchen table, I caught sight of a new painting on the wall, a vibrant abstract inspired by Lily's laughter and Ethan's dreams. It was a far cry from the woman who'd sat in that courtroom, humiliated by James's demands, or the mother who'd wept over Lily's letter. I was Elodie Carter, a survivor, an artist, a mother who'd fought through darkness to find light. James's regret, shared through Sarah's updates, his split from Scarlett, his futile attempts to reconnect with Ethan no longer stirred me. I'd framed Lily's latest drawings, hung my own work beside them, and filled our home with love. That was enough. Reflecting on my journey, I've learned lessons that I carry like brushstrokes on my heart, and I want to share them with you. First, resilience is a choice. The pain of betrayal could have broken me, but I chose to rise, to pack those boxes not as surrender but as defiance. You too can choose to stand tall no matter how deep the hurt. Second, your worth isn't defined by others' actions. James and Scarlett tried to strip me of my dignity, but I learned that my value lies in my love for my children and myself, not in their validation. Hold tight to your own truth. Third, pain can fuel creation. My paintings, especially Reclamation, were born from anguish, transforming wounds into art. Whatever your medium, writing, music, or simply living, let your struggles shape something beautiful. Fourth, protect what matters most. Ethan and Lily's pain reminded me that my role as their mother was my greatest strength. Guard your loved ones fiercely, even when it means facing your own guilt. Finally, freedom comes from letting go. Refusing James's meeting, walking away from his shadow at the exhibition, I found liberation not in revenge but in releasing his hold on me. Let go of what no longer serves you and you'll find space to grow. My story is one of pain transformed into power. I walked through James's betrayal, Scarlett's cruelty, and the heartbreak of Ethan and Lily's wounds to emerge stronger. The confrontation at the gala showed me I could stand firm. My children's tears taught me why I had to. I no longer need James's gifts or his remorse. My life belongs to me, to Ethan and Lily, to the canvases that tell our story of resilience. James may carry his regrets, but my future is radiant, painted in colors of hope and love, and no one can take that away. If this story has touched you, if it's stirred your heart or reminded you of your own strength, I invite you to share it. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to join me on this journey. Your support means the world, and together we can inspire others to find their own path to freedom. Let's paint our stories, bold and unapologetic, one brushstroke at a time.